I caught a clip of an American. I think he thinks he's center, but he's pretty far right. His guy's name's Tim Poole. I don't watch him. This clip just showed up and it caught my interest because there was a Canadian pole vaulter who won a medal in Paris at the Olympics this year. Her name is Alyssa Newman, and she won a medal in pole vaulting. And I think she completed when she did it, she twerked. You know, when you move your butt, and you move your butt in a way. I can't do it. If I could, I'd get up and I'd show you what it means, but I can't, so I'm not going to. Anyway, she twerked, and apparently this bothered Tim, and he thought he would say something about it. It turned out though that another thing that really bothered him about Alyssa is that Alyssa has an OnlyFans page, and I don't know what the content's like. He also didn't know what the content is like, or at least said he didn't know what the content is. She has come forward and said since she won the medal and since she twerked, her OnlyFans site has sort of blown up. It's tons of new people should come by. A pole vaulter in Canada probably isn't going to have a major corporate sponsor raining money down on them. So OnlyFans is a way that some people generate income for themselves. And some people, it gets quite explicit, and other people, it's not. It's something completely different. But what got me about this whole conversation was just his judgmental tone, because it wasn't enough that he said she has an OnlyFans page, and it wasn't enough for him to say, I don't agree with the morality of having an OnlyFans page, of earning money this way. What he decided to do was he decided to call her a hooker. She's a hooker. She sells sex. It doesn't matter how she sells sex. That's what she's selling, and that's what she is, and she's a hooker. It came across, number one, it came across like he was, he was sort of standing up for the boys, right? I'm going to put this woman in her place. And it was really petty, and it was really petty, and it was really unnecessary, and it was really mean and absolutely chauvinistic. As I'm listening to him say this about her, and again, thinking about why would she have an OnlyFans? Well, because she's got to eat, and pole vaulting doesn't pay a whole lot in Canada. This is her way of doing something that she dreams of doing. She's not hurting anybody by it. She's not making anybody watch her. She's not making anybody subscribe to her channel. She's not making anybody do anything that's going to cause them physical harm. When we see someone who is living in a way that we would find morally difficult to accept, again, they're not hurting anybody. They're not causing anybody harm, and they're not forcing themselves on someone. Why do we feel the need to judge them as opposed to understanding our role in their life? We don't have to tackle a person's immorality. What we have to tackle, what is imperative that we tackle, is the system that creates the need for another person to live in a way that we might think is immoral. But we don't. We're quite happy. We're quite thrilled and tickled just to sit back and enjoy the system because it's not forcing us to live that way. It's not forcing us to do those things. Right? For Tim Poole, as an example, as a guy who claims to own a compound and apparently is ridiculously popular, with the clicks, that guy could say, listen, you know what? I'm against OnlyFans. I don't think it's right that she should do that, but she's a world-class athlete. I'm going to pay for her training for the next year. I'm going to write her a check so she doesn't have to do that and she can commit herself to the next year of just training to be a great pole vaulter. Why not? But no, I'm going to call her a hooker instead. That's what I'm going to do. Instead of maybe using the platform to say things like, hey, maybe the Canadian government should give pole vaulters a little more help. Maybe Canadian corporations could give pole vaulters a little more help. Maybe rich Canadians with vast amounts of wealth could give athletes, Olympic athletes, who we're so proud of, when they get to the Olympics and they win a medal and we're, yay, look at them, they're awesome. Maybe like Tim could use that platform to say, we need to encourage more funding into the lives of these people that we every 4 years claim to be our own. Forget about for the rest of the, for the next 4 years, but for those 2 weeks, they are precious and dear to us. What if the platform was used for that reason? What if the platform was used to encourage social change? No, we're just going to call her a hooker and be done with it. And not be done with it. We're going to call her a hooker over and over and over and again. And I'm going to show you my righteous indignation. And I'm going to show you my outrage. And I'm going to show you that I know she's doing wrong, and it's wrong in many thousands of different ways. I'm not going to encourage you to actually make any kind of real change in the world. I'm just going to use this platform to denigrate and minimize somebody. Christ calls us to be agents of change, right? We see something like this happen. We see something like this. And if we are truly outraged by it, we don't express that outrage to the person. We try to change the world for that person. We try to make the world a better place for that person. Right? We don't take our anger out upon the person who is forced into this. We take our anger out on the world that creates the need for a person to be forced into that, to feel like they're forced into that. Telling your viewers, it's a hooker. She's selling sex. That's what she is. She's selling sex. She's this, she's that, blah, 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 blah. That's all it is just so many crashing cymbals. It's just so much noise. When our moral outrage boils up within inside us, when our righteous indignation boils up within inside us because we see somebody doing something that we think is wrong, spare that person your words. Spare them your vitriol. Spare them your mean anger. Spare them yourself. They don't need it. Turn your frustration, turn your agitation, turn your anger and your indignation to the world, to the systems. Be a person, instead of knocking them down, be a person that helps raise them up. A woman who is in prostitution because she needs to eat. She needs to pay her rent in a city that she can't afford to live in. Doesn't have any other place to go. Has kids in school. A person who feels the need that is the only way forward. They don't need us pointing at them. They need us helping them. That's the question. I feel outraged that this person has an OnlyFans site. Well, that's awesome. Wonderful. How are you going to help them? Because pointing your finger, yelling at them, calling them names, it doesn't help. The bottom line, when you feel it come up inside you that people shouldn't live that way, ask yourself why they're living that way. And then be an agent of change so that they don't have to live that way. So that there are other paths for them to choose. And if you can't do that, just don't say a thing. Amen.